Postbank has confirmed that it's embarked on phase 1 of closing cash pay points at South African post office branches. As part of the SOE's business rescue plan, the post office will be closing a total of 870 CPPs, these cash pay points. The move to stop cash payouts is also a strategy by the entity to combat the growing spate of cash in transit heists over the past few years. The closures are expected to be completed by April this year. Let's get you an update on how that process is embarking. We're now joined by Postbank's spokesperson, Dr Bongani Diako. It's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on. So it's 870 of these cash pay points, and it affects quite a lot of people, about 500,000 SASSA grant recipients, Dr Diako. In terms of communication, do you reckon that you've done well enough to keep people informed about what's coming and how it will affect them?
Yeah, good afternoon, Michelle, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. Just to put matters in perspective, the exercise to discontinue the payments of social grants inside post office branches has got nothing to do with the post office business rescue. We are Postbank and operate separately from this post office. The post office is just but one of our channels.
I see.
But the reason we are discontinuing the cash pay points really is to improve the quality of services of the grant recipients. Together with SASSA, we went out in the market last year in December and announced that we will be phasing out the cash pay points, the physical cash pay points where a cash van would go into an area and people would queue for money, including the physical cash pay points inside SAPO branches, just so that beneficiaries can start using the national payment system points like the ATMs and the retailers, which are more sustainable and the quality of service is greatly enhanced. So to your question, the phase-out project in relation to the post office branches in February involved about 408 urban branches, where the urban branches would have paid for the last time in February, and in March it will be 279 branches across the country, and that will be our final leg of the phase-out. But the post office branch will remain as a channel for people to do non-cash transactions. The SASSA beneficiaries can walk in and ask for a card reissuance or a PIN reset.
Yeah, it's absolutely understandable insofar as the issue of cash in transit heists is concerned and the safety issue around that. But you will obviously know, Dr. Diako, that organizations like Black Sash have criticized part of this plan, and one of the reasons is that beneficiaries will have to make alternative travel arrangements now to get to other pay points. And of course the concern there is also the elderly. What is your response to that?
So we do acknowledge the concerns raised by stakeholders on the ground, not necessarily Black Sash alone. There are multiple stakeholders in the grant value chain, and we continue engaging with them on these issues significantly, because the research that we have done on the ground is that the behavior of beneficiaries would involve them going to a post office, for example, and withdrawing cash, thereafter jumping onto a minibus taxi and going to the next point of purchase, which would be the retailer that is actually paying grants. So we're significantly cutting off the one trip that they would have to make prior to expending their money, and we're saying they can actually go straight to their point of purchase, use the card because the card is interoperable, it works like any normal bank card, use the card to purchase or even ask for a cashback. They can actually also go use the card at the ATM, but those are the conversations together with SASSA we are having with these stakeholders, so that we are aligned.
But the impact is going to be devastating, right, for particular beneficiaries. I'm thinking of those who live in rural areas. They're going to likely open commercial bank accounts. And, of course, the costs of getting to commercial centres when already people are struggling to get by with the grant as it is, that's going to be tough.
No, not necessarily. First things first, they don't need to open a bank account. This move doesn't mean the change of payment. No one needs to change anything except the behavior of where they are collecting their grants. My grandmother is a grant recipient in a rural area, and she typically got her money at the physical cash pay point. And what she would do is thereafter, there has to be a point of purchase which would involve getting into some transport of some sort to go to a place where she can buy bulk mini meal and the necessities at home. So we've mapped the behavior. We know how the beneficiaries typically treat the cash once they've received it, because it's useless having the cash in the hand. What they need is the goods that they purchase. And the next point of purchase in all the areas that we have closed is where we are now redirecting them instead of them starting off first at a CPP or a post office.
Yeah, but this issue of using ATMs, Dr. Diako, that's going to need a particular level of literacy as well, don't you think?
Yeah, so using an ATM significantly means using the safety components of the ATM, because the machine dispenses cash like a human being would. So typically inside the branches themselves, the beneficiaries when queuing would use the PIN as an authentication mechanism, amongst others, for a human being behind the till to issue them the cash. Significantly, what it means for us and SASSA, which is our next phase, is a robust education process for the beneficiaries, especially those that choose to use the ATMs. With regards to the retailers, there is always human intervention, and the data that we've got is that we are almost at 60% usage of the retailers and 40% at the ATMs, and the beneficiaries that are using ATMs are successfully transacting there. So it's both an education and awareness exercise that we have to embark upon to improve the behavioral change of the SASSA beneficiaries.
So from March, beneficiaries will be unable to withdraw from post office branches, right, in cities and in towns, as well as rural branches that serve fewer than 50 beneficiaries. You talked about your grandmother. I also have a grandmother that withdraws a social grant every month. And I can't imagine that. And she's quite well read. She's well read on international news. She keeps up with the news cycle. I can't imagine at this stage, though, that she will find comfort in having to sort of rejig how she gets her money at the end of every month, and perhaps even getting it from a different source.
No, but I am aligned, Michelle, and that's a valid point. It's a change exercise that, together with SASSA, we've looked at numerous transitional arrangements to ensure that no one is left out, everybody is taken by the hand. So in our geo-mapping exercise, we've identified significantly that where there is human intervention at the retailers, most of the retailers are nearby at ATMs, and the beneficiaries that find a bit of discomfort using the ATM can go to the retailers at any point in the month, by the way, to access their social grants there.
Yeah, let's hope it works out. Dr. Bongani Diako is Postbank spokesperson. Of course, this happens in the context where SASSA has already been plagued by a number of glitches, leaving a lot of people in the lurch. So hopefully these payments are made, and they are made without any kind of fuss insofar as beneficiaries are concerned.